Well, hey, my sweet Kit Kats. We're going to do something fun today with this clear glass bottle. I've just cleaned it with some alcohol. I'm pulling out some mulberry paper here. This is such a fun and easy way to kind of zhuzh up and jazz up your bottles. I'm picking a red and kind of an aqua blue mulberry paper, and I'm ripping those up in no particular fashion. And then grab yourself a napkin as well that's going to kind of coordinate with the colors you've chosen for your mulberry paper. And you want to get that napkin down to 1 ply as well. Then here I'm just going randomly and applying those pieces of mulberry paper all over my bottle with my Pentart decoupage varnish and glue in the Silky Shine. That's one of the great things about this project. You don't have to do any kind of priming to the glass ahead of time. I just recommend giving it a good wash, and then I wipe it down with a little cotton pad and some alcohol just to make sure I get it cleaned really well. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. Just start applying it all over. I know it looks a little wonky now, but trust the process. So I'm putting the decoupage varnish and glue down, and then I'm also going over the top of it, which is going to seal it for us right away. I've done a couple of these actually, but it's been a while, and I thought this would be a good time to try it again and show you. You can get mulberry paper. I order mine on Amazon. I'm sure there's many other places. It comes in a beautiful pack of all different colors. So usually I pick my napkin first, and then kind of find my paper to coordinate with colors on that napkin. The napkin I just picked up recently from the Hello Happiness Creativity Center. It looked super vintage to me and I really loved it. And I haven't decoupaged with a napkin for a while, so I thought it would be a good idea to do it. And it is kind of a Christmas vintage looking napkin, which you'll see a little bit later. You're gonna rip that up in pieces also. If your napkin is just a design, that's also super beautiful on here. It doesn't have to be, you know, super detailed with any type of a print or design on it. So I continue to do that all the way around the bottle. Mulberry paper has those beautiful, beautiful threads that go throughout. And I really like that look. And I thought that these two colors with that Christmas napkin would be kind of fun and a little bit more vintage-like. A little bit different than our normal traditional Christmas colors. So I'm ripping up a little bit more here. You can go all the way up the neck of the bottle if you choose. I went about halfway up. Look at how fast I go, hey? If you're like me, I have a plethora of bottles. It's kind of an addiction for me if you've watched me before. And like I said, you don't have to do anything to the bottle except wash it. Okay, I am back here. Now I have that napkin ripped up. I went ahead and started some of it here for you. I did also make sure I used my mulberry paper on the very bottom of the bottle. That's just my preference. So now I'm going to come in with those beautiful pieces of that napkin and again, randomly apply them wherever you like. Covering up that mulberry paper is absolutely fine. That's what you want. And you'll see why a little bit later. I wonder how many outfit changes I had for this quick video. Here you just have to be a little more gentle because our napkin is down to just the 1 ply. So if you go over it a little bit too often, you might tear it. There are some wrinkles in my mulberry paper. There's a few wrinkles in my napkin pieces. I'm perfectly okay with that. To me, it helps kind of just give it that beautiful vintage look I'm going for. Any medium of your choice will work. If you use Mod Podge, that will work fine as well. I just really love the Pentart Silky Shine decoupage varnish and glue. I also don't care for matte, but if that's your preference, please use that, of course. I'm more of a glossy girl, I would say. Just making sure to get those pieces around. Most of the time I use a napkin that's a little bit larger. This was more of a cocktail size napkin, but it actually worked just fine for this size bottle. You do kind of want to cover up all that mulberry paper, but if a little bit is poking through, I also think that looks super pretty. So tipping it over here so I can get some pieces on the bottom also. I have not tried this with rice paper. I don't know if it would work the same way. You're going to see a little bit later here why the napkin is the perfect choice. It's thin enough to kind of achieve what's going to happen with the bottle later. And then, of course, you're going to want to let that dry really, really well before you move on to your next step. And that's the most fun. That's kind of zhuzhing up the bottle, adding whatever embellishments that you want to it. I went in and gave it an extra coat of my decoupage varnish and glue after I had this all applied and was dry. I gave it one more coat just to give it a really nice seal. So this was a print that had all sort of things on it for Christmas. It does not matter that you're ripping it up and you're not piecing them exactly back together. Just about done there. Little piece stuck on my thumb. And I use every bit of that napkin that I can. Looking for any areas that still might need a piece or two. Giving it a little bit of a dry, and that's where I go in then with a second coat just to seal it all over, make sure all my edges are down, and then I kind of let it sit for a bit. If you don't have a heat tool, you can just let it dry on its own. All right, we're back again, another outfit change. I did wrap some fabric pieces around the top of the bottleneck here. I have a little cork that has lights on it, little fairy lights. I actually wrapped part of the wire around the neck of the bottle and then tied my fabric ribbons around it to keep it in place. And I decided I wanted to apply these beautiful iFlex snowflakes. So I painted them in a vintage flare paint from Paint Couture. Dried that really well, and now I'm coming in just super light-handed with a little bit of ivory chalk paint. I kind of load a little bit on my brush and then offload some just to kind of highlight the detail on that iFlex. Making sure to get my edges really well. iFlex is going to become super pliable when you apply heat, so I will be able to apply this down to each side of the bottle. I think that is so pretty. Then I'm coming in with some red wax paste from Pentart and a little bit of a grungy brush. I'm kind of holding it on its side a little, and I'm just adding just a little bit of that beautiful, it's almost a vintagey red color to me. Has a little bit of a gold look to it as well if you look at it from a different direction. I just wanted to add a little something to go with that red mulberry paper and the red in the napkin. And it's not super bright at all. It's very soft and super pretty. You'll see here in a second. This really helps kind of make this look a little bit more vintage. Then I'm going to apply some Titebond Quick and Thick after I heat my iFlex for just a bit. It's going to kind of start the process of getting that super pliable. And I don't really need to bend it too much on this piece, but I want all those points to stay down. So just making sure I get enough glue on the edges and all the little pieces there, but not so much that it's squeezing out the side. Kind of centering it there on my bottle. If there's any glue that does come out, I whisk it away here with a little brush and now apply some heat. it becomes super soft, so I can push down all the points of that snowflake. And in no time, it is already kind of setting up for me and curing, staying on there perfectly. I think that is so pretty and so vintage looking. The bottle does have a topper. I did use some bonding primer to paint over that first because it was glass. And now I'm painting that same beautiful vintage flare color from Paint Couture on here. Several coats, giving it a little dry in between. And after I'm done with that, later on, you'll see I added some of that red wax paste as well. And I sealed it with a soft touch varnish from Pentart. So even though this is a little bit more vintage, I just wanted a little bit of sparkle. So I'm using just a little bit of Mod Podge here in the center of those snowflakes. And then I'm going to add some diamond dust. Shaking off the excess here into my tidy tray and doing the same thing on this side. That way any excess that I have, I can kind of gather it to the end or corner of my little tidy tray and pour it back into my container, just like that. And that Mod Podge will dry clear. So you kind of see the light hanging out of there. I'll be able to put that down in and turn it on. It's just a wine cork light that has fairy lights attached to it. You can find those on Amazon. The neck of my bottle is a little bit too big, so it's going to drop down in there. So I do have the wire kind of wrapped around the neck, and then I tied my fabric ribbon around that. I used a little sealer on there as well. And here we are all finished. When you put the lights in there, having just the one ply of the napkin and that mulberry paper lets you see through it. I added a few Totally Dazzled snowflakes on there. And I think this is so cute and something that can stay out far after Christmas. I love how it turned out. Those little fabric ribbons are perfect, and then that topper does come off and I can shut those lights off. So that fabric just kind of hides it a little bit so you don't see the wires too much. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you.